The 43 vessels that have been gathering since midnight in the waters east of Fiery Cross Reef are, according to every registration document, filed with the Maritime Safety Administration of the People's Republic of China, fishing boats. They are registered as fishing boats. Their hulls are painted in the blue and white color scheme associated with fishing operations in the South China Sea. Several of them have fishing nets visibly rigged on their stern rails. A small number are trailing lines into the water, which is either evidence of active fishing operations or evidence that someone in the Maritime Militia's logistics section has been paying attention to the details. What they are not doing is fishing. Fishing boats do not maintain 200-meter tactical spacing. Fishing boats do not operate in 3 concentric formation rings centered on a navigation waypoint. Fishing boats do not respond to course changes by the vessel in the center of the formation with coordinated heading adjustments across 43 hulls simultaneously. Fishing boats, real ones, operated by people who are trying to catch fish, do not maintain encrypted radio communications on frequencies allocated to the People's Liberation Army Navy, rather than the commercial maritime VHF channels that actual fishing operations use throughout the South China Sea. These boats are doing all of those things. They are doing them with the practiced efficiency of a force that has been drilling this formation for a long time. The vessel at the center of the formation is USS Benfold, DDG-65, a Flight 1 Arleigh Burke class guided missile destroyer conducting a freedom of navigation operation through the Spratly Islands in the South China Sea, currently 6 nautical miles west-northwest of Fiery Cross Reef at 9:47 local. Benfold has been conducting freedom of navigation operations in these waters for 11 years. Her crew knows this area. The watch teams have stood these watches before, and the day watch that came on at 8 o'clock local has been tracking the gradual assembly of the Maritime Militia formation since 6:22 local, when the first cluster of vessels appeared on the surface radar in the waters to the east and began the slow, deliberate movement that would eventually produce the formation now surrounding the ship on 3 sides. Benfold's commanding officer has been on the bridge since 8:30 local. He has read the intelligence brief that was waiting for him when he arrived. The brief is specific. This formation is a People's Republic of China Maritime Militia activation, coordinated by the Sansha City Maritime Militia Organization, the same unit that has been conducting similar operations in the Spratlys for the past 4 years. The brief includes formation geometry templates from previous activations. The current formation matches Template 7 from the template library with approximately 91% fidelity. The commanding officer has done this before. He has read Template 7 before. He knows what it is designed to accomplish: slow Benfold's transit, force course deviations, generate imagery of a U.S. warship surrounded by Chinese vessels in waters that Beijing claims as sovereign, and produce the diplomatic note that Beijing will file within 24 hours, citing the intrusion into Chinese waters as a violation of PRC sovereignty. The formation is not designed to produce a kinetic confrontation. It is designed to produce a photograph. There is a complication that the commanding officer has been managing since 0847 local, when the engineering department informed him that the scheduled maintenance evolution on the forward gas turbine engine, a planned inspection that has been in the maintenance cycle for 16 days, has reached the point where the engine must be taken offline for approximately 40 minutes for a component check that cannot be safely deferred. Benfold runs on 4 gas turbine engines. 3 engines are fully operational. With the forward engine offline, her maximum sustainable speed is reduced from 32 knots to approximately 19 knots. 19 knots is still fast enough to maneuver freely in open water. It is not, however, the kind of speed margin that makes navigating through a 43-vessel formation feel entirely comfortable. The engineering department will need approximately 40 minutes. The Maritime Militia formation is tightening. The commanding officer authorizes the maintenance evolution to proceed. He drinks his coffee. It is good coffee. The Day Watch Senior Chief has strong opinions about coffee quality and the authority to enforce them. At 9:51 local, the lead elements of the Maritime Militia formation begin closing the distance to Benfold from the eastern sector. The three-ring formation compresses. The spacing between vessels decreases from 200 meters to approximately 140 meters. The outer ring is now 8 nautical miles from Benfold. The inner ring is 4 nautical miles. The geometry is designed to give Benfold fewer navigational options if she attempts to accelerate through the formation, and with the forward engine offline, the speed advantage that would normally make the geometry straightforward is partially reduced. The formation commander, whoever is coordinating the 43 vessels, presumably from one of the larger hulls in the outer ring, appears to have good information about Benfold's reduced speed state, which is information that raises questions about surveillance coverage of the ship's engineering evolution that the intelligence section will note in the after-action report. The P-8A Poseidon maritime patrol aircraft that has been orbiting at 18,000 feet over the central Spratly Islands since 8:15 local is, at this moment, doing 3 things simultaneously. It is maintaining the tactical picture of the militia formation and feeding it to Benfold via Link 16. It is operating its AN/APS-147 surface search radar in a mode that allows it to track all 43 militia vessels individually and record their specific hull identification data. Length, beam, superstructure profile, antenna configurations against the existing library of known Sansha City maritime militia vessels, and it is passively monitoring the radio frequency spectrum across the militia formation's operating area with the patient comprehensiveness of a system designed to record everything and miss nothing. What it is finding on the radio frequency spectrum is interesting. The 43 vessels are communicating on PLA Navy encrypted frequencies, not commercial maritime VHF, not the fishing industry coordination channels that legitimate fishing operations use. PLA Navy encrypted voice traffic on a frequency allocation that the P-8A's electronic intelligence suite has been cataloging since the Sansha City militia was first activated 4 years ago. The traffic volume is consistent with coordinated tactical maneuvering under Central Command. More communications than routine fishing operations generate, patterned in the call and response rhythm of a formation receiving and acknowledging movement orders. The P-8A logs every transmission. The metadata, timing, originating vessel, traffic volume, frequency allocation is being compiled into the intelligence product that will go to Pacific Fleet and the Office of Naval Intelligence by end of day. The fishing boats are talking to each other on military frequencies. This is, in the technical sense, the most significant piece of information produced by the entire encounter, because it is the piece of information that directly contradicts the diplomatic claim that these are independent civilian vessels conducting lawful maritime activities. Independent civilian vessels do not use PLA Navy encrypted communication channels. They use maritime VHF channel 16 like everyone else. The communication architecture of the formation is a direct and specific refutation of the civilian fishing activity framing that Beijing will file in its diplomatic note. The P-8A's sensor operators have been collecting this refutation since the formation assembled. It is being archived in a format that can survive the diplomatic note. On Benfold's bridge, the officer of the deck is managing the ship's navigation through waters that are becoming progressively more populated. The 43 militia vessels are not blocking Benfold's path in the sense of physically placing themselves directly ahead of the ship's course. That would be a provocation with different legal implications. What they are doing is positioning themselves in a pattern that requires Benfold to reduce speed and adjust her heading to maintain safe navigation distances, a form of nautical passive aggression that is technically lawful, practically annoying, and specifically designed to produce the footage and the diplomatic note. The officer of the deck is navigating. He is navigating carefully, professionally, and without the urgency that the militia formation's designers presumably hoped to generate. He adjusts heading 3 degrees to port at 0953 local to maintain clearance from the inner ring's eastern element. He notes the adjustment in the navigation log. He returns to his coffee. The commanding officer is on the bridge wing, watching the formation with the detached interest of a person who has been to this particular theatrical production before and knows all the blocking. Several of the militia vessels are clearly visible from the bridge. Blue-painted hulls, fishing nets on the stern rails. The specific pretense of civilian activity maintained with varying degrees of convincingness, depending on which vessel you're looking at. One vessel in the inner ring has its fishing nets deployed, but is maintaining a precise 140-meter station relative to the vessel next to it, with a consistency that would be impressive for a warship crew and is essentially impossible for a fishing operation to accidentally achieve. The commanding officer notes this. It joins the long list of things about this formation that are noted. At 10:04 local, the forward gas turbine engine comes back online. The maintenance evolution completed in 37 minutes, 3 minutes ahead of schedule, because the engineering team found the component check clean, and the reinstallation went without complications. Benfold's maximum speed is restored to 32 knots. The speed margin that the militia formation was partially exploiting disappears. The commanding officer does not accelerate. There is no tactical reason to accelerate, but the engineering department reports to the bridge that full power is available, and the commanding officer notes this too. The P-8A has now cataloged 31 of the 43 vessels against the existing library. 31 known hulls, previously photographed in other militia activations in the Spratlys and the Paracels over the past 4 years. 12 hulls are new, either vessels that have been added to the Sansha City militia fleet since the last activation, or vessels transferred from another militia organization. The 12 new hull profiles are being recorded in full photographic detail for the new library entries. Each new hull generates an entry that includes length, beam, superstructure configuration, antenna positions, and the specific stern configuration that allows differentiation between vessels that carry nominal fishing equipment as cover and vessels that carry something more substantial under deck plates that the fishing gear is designed to obscure. The P-8A's sensor operators have been building this library for 4 years. Every militia activation in the Spratlys adds to it. The library is now comprehensive enough that when a Sansha City militia vessel is sighted anywhere in the South China Sea, it can be identified, its history and previous activations reviewed, and its typical position in the formation geometry predicted. The militia thinks it is the same fleet each time. From the U.S. intelligence community's perspective, it is an index database. At 10:17 local, the formation begins to change. The change is not dramatic. The outer ring vessels slow slightly and open their spacing. The inner ring, which had been holding at approximately 3.8 nautical miles from Benfold, begins a gradual drift that increases the separation to 4.4 nautical miles over the course of 11 minutes. The militia formation is not breaking up. It is adjusting its geometry in a way that reduces the navigational pressure on Benfold without producing the clean reversal that would be visible as a retreat. The formation is reconfiguring. The PLA Navy encrypted communications spike at 10:17 local, a burst of traffic consistent with new movement orders being distributed across all 43 hulls simultaneously, and then settle back to the steady-state maintenance rhythm. Someone has issued a new order. The formation received it and responded simultaneously across 43 vessels, which is, again, not something fishing boats do. The P-8A logs the communication spike. The timestamp traffic burst, correlated with the observable formation change, is a command and control data point. It establishes that the formation responds to centralized direction on a near instantaneous timeline, which means the command architecture connecting the 43 vessels is sufficiently robust and low latency to coordinate large-scale maneuvers across a dispersed formation in real time. This is not a characteristic of civilian maritime coordination. It is a characteristic of a military communication system. The P-8A adds this data point to the collection package. Benfold continues her transit. At 10:22 local, the officer of the deck notes that the closest element of the militia formation is now 5.2 nautical miles distant, outside the range at which the rules of the nautical road require specific action, and that Benfold's navigational picture has normalized. The heading adjustment made at 09:53 local has been the only deviation from the planned transit track, 3 degrees, for 29 minutes. The heading has returned to the planned track. The transit continues. On the bridge wing, a boatswain's mate who has been conducting weather deck maintenance since 9:30. Local looks up from his work as one of the militia vessels passes across Benfold's port quarter at approximately 4.8 nautical miles. Blue hull, fishing nets on the stern rail, antenna cluster on the superstructure that is, to anyone who has spent time looking at PLA Navy communication equipment, not fishing boat standard in its configuration. The boatswain's mate studies the vessel for approximately 4 seconds. Then he nods to himself, the specific nod of a person whose prior assessment has been confirmed, and returns to his maintenance task. At 10:31 local, the P-8A completes its hull catalog of all 43 vessels, 31 confirmed library matches, 12 new entries, the collection package, hull photographs, communication intercepts, formation geometry data, command and control timing analysis, is sealed and formatted for transmission. The P-8A's mission crew commander composes the cover note for the intelligence product. The cover note is 2 sentences. The first sentence identifies the formation as a Sansha City Maritime Militia Activation Matching Template 7 with 91% fidelity. The second sentence notes that PLA Navy encrypted communications were used throughout the activation on frequencies previously associated with this organization, and that the communication traffic volume and timing are inconsistent with the civilian fishing activity characterization under which these vessels operate. 2 sentences. 43 vessels. 4 years of collected context. The diplomatic note that Beijing will file tomorrow will describe 43 civilian fishing vessels conducting lawful maritime activities in Chinese sovereign waters, which were provocatively intruded upon by a U.S. Navy warship conducting illegal transit operations. The intelligence product will describe 43 PLA militia vessels conducting a coordinated formation maneuver under centralized military command communicating on encrypted PLA Navy frequencies in international waters, through which USS Benfold conducted a routine freedom of navigation operation without course deviation beyond 3 degrees for 29 minutes. These are 2 different documents about the same 43 vessels. One of them will be filed at the United Nations. The other will go to Pacific Fleet. They will not reach the same conclusions because they are not trying to reach the same conclusions. They are trying to do different things. The diplomatic note is trying to establish a narrative. The intelligence product is trying to establish a record. Records last longer than narratives. The record is already archived. The cost of this encounter, by the metrics that appear in the standard accounting, is modest. Benfold's operational costs for the transit day are routine. The P-8A flight hours at approximately $60,000. The engineering department's maintenance evolution proceeds on schedule and produces no parts cost. Total U.S. operational overhead attributable specifically to the militia encounter, approximately $60,000. The diplomatic cost to China of the communications intelligence collected during the activation is not in this accounting. Beijing's maritime militia doctrine depends on the plausible deniability of civilian cover, the fishing boats, the registration documents the nets on the stern rails. The PLA Navy encrypted communications completely remove that deniability from a U.S. intelligence perspective. Every time the militia activates and communicates on military frequencies, it confirms the military character of the organization in a format that is archivable, distributable, and specific. The diplomatic note Beijing files will argue the civilian character of the formation. The communications metadata will contradict that argument in technical detail. The militia does not know this is happening each time it activates. Or perhaps it knows and has calculated that the operational value of the centralized command architecture outweighs the intelligence disclosure risk. Either way, the disclosure continues. The archive grows. The library expands. Each activation is more completely understood than the last. By 1200 local, Benfold has cleared the Spratly Island's operational area and resumed her planned transit track toward her next waypoint. The crew is at normal underway watches. The forward gas turbine engine is running at full power. The P-8A has returned to its base and is downloading its mission data. The intelligence package will be on Pacific Fleet's desk by 1500 local. By 1400 local, Beijing's foreign ministry is drafting a diplomatic note. The note, when it is transmitted, describes the transit of USS Benfold through waters over which China exercises sovereignty as a provocative and illegal act that violates Chinese law and international norms. It describes the 43 civilian fishing vessels that were lawfully conducting fishing operations in Chinese waters as having been endangered by the American warship's reckless navigation. It expresses strong indignation and solemn protest and demands that the United States immediately stop such provocative actions and take concrete measures to prevent similar incidents from occurring in the future. The note does not mention that the 43 civilian fishing vessels were communicating on PLA Navy encrypted frequencies throughout the encounter. It does not mention the Template 7 formation geometry. It does not mention the simultaneous coordinated response to centralized movement orders at 1017 local. These omissions are consistent with the note's purpose, which is not to accurately describe what happened, but to establish that a protest was filed. The protest will be filed. It will be received. It will be noted in the State Department's archives alongside the 73 similar protests filed over the past 4 years, each covering a freedom of navigation operation, each describing civilian fishing vessels, each omitting the PLA Navy communication frequencies. The pattern of the notes is itself a data point. On Benfold, the day watch is completing its log entries for the 800 to 1600 local watch. The navigator is reviewing the track record for the transit. 3 degrees of heading adjustment for 29 minutes. 1 gas turbine offline for 37 minutes. 43 militia vessels in Template 7 formation now dispersed. The log is accurate, specific, and entirely unexcited. It reads like what it is. A routine account of a transit that proceeded as planned through conditions that were anticipated, managed, and documented without incident. The 43 fishing boats that were not fishing have returned to their home ports or dispersed to their usual patrol areas. Some of them still have fishing lines trailing from their sterns. The fish, if there are any fish, remain uncaught. The intelligence archive is 17 items richer than it was this morning. Bye for now.